You want to find the best move in every position. You want to feel sure, yes, this is the best move. That's how top players like international masters and grandmasters grow and reach higher ratings. But in your games, it feels messy. There are too many variations and too many choices, but you don't know which is right. You calculate for a while and then play something random that you think is the best. A few moves later, you are losing and you don't even know where it went wrong. In this video, I will show you an easy way to find the best moves to fix this problem. It's nothing fancy and nothing hard. These are just simple steps you should follow in every game.
In the previous video, there are various comments asking what is my elo. So let's unravel it. Here you can see I'm visiting my profile. You can see it's 2252 in blitz, 2165 in rapid, and this is of chess.com. Let's look at League Chess. So you can see we are at League Chess and this is my logged in ID. You can see it's 2268 in blitz, 2018 in rapid, 2063 in classical, and 2296 in puzzles. So this was the proof, guys.
To find best move in any position, super grandmasters and even I use a simple 3-step process, which is king safety, piece activity, and pawn structure. Let's break it down one by one. The step 1 of finding best move is the king safety. In any position, the first thing you must check is king safety, both yours and your opponent's king. The first question you will ask is my king safe from any direct attacks? And the second one is, can I quickly create threat against my enemy king? Even if the board looks calm, one exposed king can change everything. When your opponent's king is unsafe, you don't need any deep calculations. You just strike fast because every move can lead to tactics or even checkmate threats. Its main advantages are it prevents you from falling into surprise attacks. The second one is it helps you spot quick wins or attacks when the opponent's king is weak. And the third one is it saves time in calculation because you just have to focus only on forcing moves around the king.
So now we are going to look some examples of king safety, and also at the end of all these steps we are going to practice some positions and exercise it along with you. So stay tuned till the end. You can see here our king is not that safe because on the next move black is going to play queen g3 and threaten us to checkmate here. So we have got our weakness, which is king safety. But now the question comes, how to find best moves and how to get the defensive moves. So yes, here is the step. You have to imagine a piece which can defend your king. Let us say after this queen g3, he is threatening to checkmate on this h2 square. We have to get defense of this h2 square. Now I will imagine a piece like a queen or a bishop which is on this g1 square and will defend this h2 square. You don't have to imagine a piece that is not on your board. Let us say if I imagine a knight on f1 that will defend this h2 square. It's not that how it works. Just imagine the pieces that are actually with you. Like in this position I have a bishop. Now we can play bishop e3 attacking the queen, and once the queen moves on g3 you can play bishop g1, and you can see we have got our defensive moves. And if you look at the stockfish, you can see bishop e3 was the best move from this position to attack this queen, get on this g1 square. This is how it works. In this position, if you apply these 3 steps, the first king safety, second piece activity, and third pawn structure, then you will find that opponent king is weak. So we got a direction to make a strategy. But how to find the best move? Again, apply the same thing. Imagine a piece on a particular square that will attack or mate your opponent king. In this position, it is the queen or the rook on a8 which will checkmate this king. But to do that, this a7 pawn is interfering in between. So what do? Yes, we sacrifice the rook. Rook takes a7. Don't worry, we have another rook to mate here because it will come on a1 and go on a8. If you take with the king, then we have rook a1 check, and after the king moves on b8, we have the same queen a8 or rook a8 checkmate. If they take with the bishop, then first this bishop has to be eliminated, so we take it with our bishop, and once the king takes, we go rook a1 check, and it's again the same thing. Both the pieces can go on a8 and checkmate black. And if you see, rook takes a7 was the best move from this position.
It's not always that your king or your opponent's king is weak. So what should you do then? Simple, come to the step number 2, piece activity. It's the most important rule. Your pieces are your army. Stronger the army, stronger the nation. Pieces are stronger than the pawns. So, before making any plan, fight unemployment of your pieces. Ask yourself which of my pieces is doing least, or sometimes even nothing. Ask yourself, can I bring it towards the center, an open file, or include it in the direct attack? Treat every piece like a worker. If more than one is sitting idle, then your position is weak, and you must fix that first. Now, let's look at the advantages. The first one is it improves your piece coordination without any complex planning. The second one is it prepares your pieces for both defense and attack. The second one is it reduces blunders because active pieces control more squares and limit enemy moves. And the fourth one is once all your pieces are active, finding attacking moves becomes much easier.
Like in this position, you can see various of our pieces are sitting idle, doing nothing. What we should do? Yes, we should come out and bring them. Now the next question is which piece to bring in. So it depends on the position. Generally, you want to develop all your pieces like this. But in this case, the first move you should place rook d1 because you can see this rook will directly point towards opponent's queen, which is a great thing for you. It's not always that queen is opposite of
Your rook.
so you can also play knight d2 and that is also the best move from this position. Once you play rook d1 and this game was played by Charles Lewis and Alexander MacDonald in real life. And now you can see MacDonald from white pieces is applying the rule of piece activity from every move. You can see after this c4 move, this bishop gets blocked. His diagonal or his vision is not there to work because all of these squares will be covered or will be blocked with this pawn. So comes with the plan with going on this c2 and in the upcoming moves like this, he places his bishop on c2 and he brings out his knight on d2 and once finally opponent makes a move, he brings his knight on e4. That's the beauty of this game. First he brings his bishop on this c2, then this knight on this e4 square, which is a great thing. Now you can see all these pieces are coordinating well and now in the further game he brings his rook into the action like this, pointing his rook towards his queen and now it gained a nice little tactics of this bishop a4 and once the queen moves we take the rook on the a8 and now you can see if they take the knight we can just play c6 and save our bishop and if they take our bishop we will save our knight and win the game easily.
Sometimes all your pieces are fine and both the kings are safe. So, what's left to guide your plan? That's where step number 3, pawn structure comes in. Finally, look at the pawns. Pawns tell you where to play. Ask yourself, where do I have more space? That's usually where I should attack. Ask yourself, where are the weaknesses in my opponent's position? Those squares or pawns are my targets. You don't need to force pawn moves right away. Just know where your position naturally points you. So, your pieces and future attacks flow in the right direction.
Its advantages are it tells you where to attack, king side, center or queen side. The second one is it prevents random play, means your strategy follows a clear direction. And the third one is it helps you spot long-term weaknesses in your opponent's position that you can pressurize. In this position, it was Bobby Fischer with black pieces and Alexander Matros with white. Here, you can see Bobby Fischer castled, which was the wrong move because now Matros got a move to disturb the pawn structure because after this takes, you can see these 3 pawns are a nice little chain and that can be pushed and be queen. And while the other hand, you can see this king is exposed and in the upcoming moves, you can see Matros managed to bring his rook on the c5 and here Bobby Fischer resigned because you can see these 2 rooks are locked. You can see this rook cannot go on b8 because then a7 pawn drops and this c8 rook cannot come on b8 to trade or ask for a trade because now we can just trade it and here the c6 pawn drops and you can see the pawn structure. It's too well. So from this position you can see one simple rule gained victory against world champion Bobby Fischer. This position will teach you on which side of the board you should play and if there is no play, this position also will teach you how to create and play. It is white to move and you can see if you concentrate on this queen side, if you somehow pull this pawn to a6 to trade here, he will not really trade. He can just push this pawn to b6 and close this position furthermore. So now we completely divert our focus on this king side. Now you can see we can create some play. We can take here, and after opponent recaptures, we can also take this knight, and after queen takes, we can hop in with this knight on this g6 square to force this queen and the rook, and also the black is forced to defend it somehow. If needed, you can put your knight back and push this pawn forward. You can also push this pawn forward, and also you can put this rook on f1. You can also pass this pawn forward. The stockfish is in our favor and showing across 0.95 like a 1 pawn up from advantage from this position. Now we are going to practice some positions. Here it is the position number 1. Here you can see it's white to move, and can you find the best move from this position? If you apply king safety, piece activity and pawn structure, you can see that our king is safe and also we cannot attack the opponent king. The second is piece activity. If you see, this knight is doing pretty job of controlling some of the central squares. This bishop is also placed very nice. This queen is also doing some job, and we got our piece which is not doing anything or unemployed, which is this knight and also this rook. Then what do? You put it on an active square from which it will cover more squares. In this case, it is this knight d4. It creates attacks and also controls more squares in the opponent's half of the board. So in the game, black took it, we can recapture it, and you can see our white knight is now completely activated. In the game, black castled, and now you can see this rook. Where to put this rook? You cannot go on this b1 because his vision will be blocked like this. So also you cannot play on this d1 square because you can see there are these pieces which are blocking his vision of attacking. So the only move is rook e1. Here you can see he is controlling a file, and also there is a famous quote, rooks belongs to files. You can see he is controlling more squares, and now if you are unable to do this, there is another plan of rook f3 and doubling down on this f file, pushing this pawn forward, but it needs a strategy. If you want to play simple chess, just activate this rook this way. Now we are going to look for the bonus step, which is CCA checklist. Here you ask yourself, are there any checks on my king? Are there any captures on my side or pieces? And are there any attacks against me? This is the verification of best move after finding the best move through king safety, piece activity and pawn structure. You can verify it with checks, captures and attacks. Here you can see if you play any natural looking move like this, then you can see this knight can go on d3, take it, and that's a discovered check. So you always ask, if I play any move, are there any checks? In this case, yes, there is this check, and after king moves, we lose. In this game, what could be the best move? Yes, it is queen e3 to just add a support to this knight. And sometimes, if all your pieces and the king and all the pawn structure is safe, you can see when your pieces are attacked, to defend or to counter attack is the best move from that position. Your black played bishop a6, and now you apply the tactics of again CCA. Here you can see, instead of asking yourself, you go on your opponent half of the board. Let us say, can I attack my opponent king, or can I capture anything of my opponent, or also can I attack my opponent? If you apply the CCA, here first it checks. Here you cannot take it because just king will take. So we will abandon it. Now are there any captures? Yes. There is bishop takes, but it does nothing. There is this knight takes c6 capture also, but it does nothing. Now we come to the attack. Can you go forward in your opponent's half of the board to create attack? If you follow this knight can go on c6, discovered attack on this queen as well as on this knight. This queen cannot leave this diagonal because if he moves like somewhere this knight hangs. So the only move is to play queen b6. Now what do? Yes, there is this again checks, captures, attacks checklist. You calculate, are there any checks on my opponent? Yes, there is this. And if you calculate it, queen h3 check, king g8 and knight e7 is going to be a checkmate. In this position there are various choices. You can trade on this side, you can push this pawn forward, you can also take this pawn, push this pawn forward, you can also bring this rook anywhere, and there are various choices. From this, which is the best? Apply the rule king safety, piece activity and pawn structure. Here if you see, both the kings are safe, so abandon it. The second is piece activity. If you look, this knight is not doing that much, so we have got our piece, which is this knight. But how to develop? There is no plan or no square on which we can develop. You can also go on this c8 and b6, but there is no support. This bishop can take it. So what do we do then? Now you come towards the pawn structure. Pawns tell you where to attack. In this case, if you look, if you go on this c5, the position is pretty much closed and there is no way to progress. If you take, the opponent takes there, and also there is no other way to develop or to do progress. So from this queen side, you divert your attention to the king side. If you see, if you trade here, you can see you get an open file, and now you can come up a plan with doubling up your rooks like this. Now in the further position, white captured the c6 pawn, and now again you think, can I develop my pieces? In this case, yes, you can take this pawn with the knight, and you can see this knight is controlling various of our opponent's board square, and also it is very happy looking there. Now in the further game, white played bishop e3. Now we work with our plan, doubling down these rooks to create attacks on the opponent king. Here white played queen d2, and here now we apply the rule checks captures attacks. If you see, these two are attacking this pawn, but if you calculate, if this bishop takes this pawn, there is this bishop can take, and the queen cannot take it because the king is there to take the queen. So we don't worry about that, and we work with our plan, which is again you apply checks captures and attacks on your opponent. Here you can see you apply, can I attack or can I capture any piece? Here you cannot take this because it is supported. Can you attack? Yes. With knight g4 attacking this bishop, we are forcing him to respond. Here white traded this row, and now you can see this queen is not doing anything here, so we take it with this queen to create some threats like this. Now here white played knight d5. He is also applying the rule piece activity. He is more improving his piece, activating his piece. Now what do we do? This bishop is defending this king, so we eliminate it, and after queen takes, we apply the same rule, development of our pieces. Now this knight gets developed and activated. Right now we are threatening to go knight c2 for this queen and the rook, and if queen moves on e1, it's again the same of the forking thing like this. So opponent has to be very careful. This queen also cannot go on this g3 square because now this knight gets forked, and don't be greedy to take this queen because there is this back rank checkmate like this. Here if you apply the same rule, king safety, piece activity and pawn structure, you will find that this pawn is a weakness. So how to fix it? Yes, you can just trade it, and you can see trading this one simple pawn for this pawn structure. If they trade it, their pawn structure gets disturbed and our rook gets a semi-open file. Now we have more attacking chances, and if he doesn't do that, let us say if he develops his knight like this, then what you can do is you can just trade here, and now you can see you don't need to worry about your position because there are no weaknesses. Now you learn to find the best move, but without these 5 tips you are unable to reach 2000 elo. So yeah, I will meet you there.